what better day than today to share our views on the state of the nation. We're going to be having our say. Make sure you do too. Email us at loose.women@itv.com or log on to the website, that's itv.com/loosewomen, and get it off your chest. Well, today's Judgment Day. As the result, I know I looked at you when I said chest.
And they laughed.
But just like hung Parliament...
Big in this, don't
they are really out there today, yeah. There's no getting away from them. Well, we are waiting, of course, for the results of the general election to be fully revealed, but at the moment it appears that there is no party sharing an overall majority, so we are heading for the much-muted hung Parliament. However, with voter turnout high, it appears that the 2010 election has enticed us back to the polling booths. So, I suppose the question is, ladies, has this election reignited, reinvigorated your appetite for politics?
Well, you know what my appetite for politics is. I'm a bit anorexic when it comes to that. But the thing is, for the first time ever, actually, it really has worked on me. I have taken much, much more of an interest. Now, I don't know whether that's... I know, Carol, you're so shocked, but I actually...
I'm pleased.
I actually have. And I think what's helped is all the debates that's been shown on television. I got a bit sick of it near the end because it was every day and it was doing my nutting. But I've definitely taken more of an interest, and I think that's to do with my age and because I've taken more of an interest in my life in general and how politics affects my life, you know, and all of that. So I think it's been a really good thing this year.
I'm really, really encouraged to hear that.
Yeah.
Because don't you think, I know you share the opinion that everybody should be political.
Well, I don't think people need to be political, particularly. God, what did I bother to say that? But, no, I do think people should take an interest in their surroundings and what happens to them and what comes to them. And I am encouraged by this. I wasn't a fan of the TV debates, I have to say, but I'm pleased with the way they've worked on people, because if they've worked on Colleen Nolan, then they must have worked on a lot of people. Because you have always been the one person with less than zero interest in politics.
Yeah,
you've actually voted. So, you know, I think it's great. I went to 2 polling stations yesterday because I had to do a proxy vote for my brother in a different station, and I was really surprised to see queues in both of them, really long queues, and I've never missed a vote in my whole life, and I've never actually seen a really big queue like that yesterday. So I was encouraged by that. And I thought it was great that, you know, people are interested and people were determined to get in there. You know, sometimes you think, oh, this queue's too big, I'm going to go away, come back later. But people were just standing there. I mean, it wasn't very well managed, you know, as we found out last night, when people were disgustingly turned away from polling stations because they were closed. You know, I would have thought that surely anybody who'd been in the queue by 10 o'clock should have been allowed to vote, but they were turned away, which I thought was really shocking.
But you know what was encouraging on the flip side of that was to see just how riled people were. You know, we've gone from a nation of being apathetic voters to actually fighting and banging on the door to have our say, and that surely is a welcome gesture.
And I think if that had been me, I'd be starting a riot.
You'd still be sitting there, wouldn't you?
I would. I think it is the worst thing that can possibly happen, to be denied the right to vote for any means. What did they expect? It was like they were surprised people were coming to vote. It was polling day.
Absolutely, but I think it's tragic that after the whole expenses thing and people's cynicism, and they probably did feel, right, I'm going to do something about it. But that, I would say that the television debate slightly coloured that, in the sense that actually they kept standing there saying absolutely nothing, nobody. But my son, bless his heart, Robert, did actually get out of bed on his day off and voted yesterday, which I think is fantastic. And I do think, well, I think families, because it was on the television at night, say, if you all happened to be around at the same time, you couldn't help but turn to your children and say, do you realise you've got to do something about the state of your country and your future?
And it's great if you can get them into the habit of voting at this age. I mean, what about your boys, Carl? Do they sit and talk politics and policies with you?
All the time.
But in this, I mean, well, we joke, but Colin's actually interviewed Gordon Brown on the run-up to this election. So there has been discussion of... Yes, I know. There has been discussion, surely, in your house about that.
No, of course there has, and obviously Ray's very into politics, you know, he gets really into it, so he's kind of encouraged me to talk about it more, and I've been able to ask him questions about it and all of this, but, I mean, I still, you know, I'm no way geared up like you three are. I mean, even today when you were all talking about it, I thought, oh, I'm off out for a cup of tea. So I still don't kind of get it.
But you get
what
now,
I do get,
don't you?
I realise that it's important.
Yeah, because it
and-
shapes the world we live in.
Yeah.
We run this country.
But having said that,
they do it on our
after-
behalf. We put them in the
but
job.
Then what
that
gets
vote,
me if
we're
after-
powerless.
But then
Yes,
after,
exactly.
But
Which
then
is why
after
last
all
night
of
was
that,
outrageous.
yeah. So
And what really upset me was it was students that were
it's
turned
like
away.
politics, and it can't get word in.
Sorry, Tom. Go on.
No, the thing is, what I was going to say is after all of that and making the effort to do it and really kind of trying to take as much interest as I can or understand as much as I can, then it all didn't really happen, did it, for me today?
Well, no, because it's confusing. It's
It's very-
confusing for
now I don't know what's
everybody.
happening.
You know, most people who probably voted yesterday, a lot of people have never seen a hung parliament in their lifetime.
Well, no, not
you know, the
since
last time was
1974.
1974. And it absolutely was a disaster then. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen now? And, you know, people have got to start making deals with each other.
Exactly.
And
But
trying
in
to
a
get
way,
people
the
on their
public, I
side.
do think that voters have given politicians a bloody nose. They've shown them.
They really have,
You know,
Linda.
they can't just wander about aimlessly not telling us anything. We've given them a hard time, and they've got a hard time. And actually, maybe some of them will show a bit of personality and come out of this coalition. Somebody's going to stand up and be a man about it.
Well,
Or
they're
a
all
woman.
promising to
A
do all
woman
they
even,
can.
please.
Let's see if they are true to their word. More on this a little later, but right now, one notable feature of the election has been the relentless campaigning by all three of the main party leaders. They've travelled the length and breadth of the country, canvassing for votes 24/7, be it 3 o'clock in the morning at fish markets or goodness knows where. But it got us to thinking. Like us, they're no spring chickens. So would we have the stamina to pull off an all-nighter? Oh, we're not. Come on, let's not pretend. We're not 18. We're not even 28.
No, not even 48
Hey,
anymore.
speak for yourself. I
Do you know, I can't think of anything worse than staying up all night. It's that, you know, I've probably done it a few times in my life when I was younger and, you know, you just keep going and drinking and staying up. But
Which is amazing with you, because everyone thinks you are this party animal
Exactly,
that drinks
they
all
do.
night.
They do, don't
No,
they?
they're
Everyone thinks
not.
I'm a real monster when it comes to drinking. I'm asleep after 2 glasses of wine. You know, and if I'm up at midnight, that's an all-nighter for me. You know, I go to bed first, always. But it's that feeling you get, like, if you've been up all night, of that... Oh, I used to do a job. I used to work on the Big Breakfast, and I used to produce the Friday show. And on the Thursday morning, we'd go into work at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'd have to work 24 hours. So you were up all night working, and the next morning you would just have that feeling of, you know,
it's
like
horrible.
grime crawling
Yeah.
out of your skin, and
Like jet
you know,
lag.
yeah, it is exactly like jet lag, only worse, and it just makes you feel so ill. So I've got no desire, no job, no party, nothing would keep
Actually,
me up
it's
all
funny
night
you talk
ever
about
again.
Big Breakfast. I remember one year I was asked to go on New Year's Day morning, and my sons were really keen for me to do this, but the only way I could conceive that we'd get there, because he would be out clubbing, was that I'd stay out and wait for him. So, of course, you know, and I did drink in those days. And so I was trying to monitor it along
you
the
do
night.
it?
I did, yes, but we just got to 5 to 6. We were being picked up at 6:15, right?
Yeah.
Got to 5 to 6, like... What? Oh, my God. But by the time we got to the studio, everybody, Johnny Vaughan was like that. But I did actually do it a couple of years ago, driving back from Spain, because I thought I'd better stay awake with my hubby, with Mr. Spain, so I sang to him all the way home, and that was all night. Felt like a week.
On that backseat Sparko, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
No, not for me.
I love it. Actually, what I do, I love getting up early anyway. And when I was writing my book, I got up at 4. And there's something really wonderful about that moment. The sun comes up and the birds start singing. You think, oh my goodness, I've cracked it. You know, it's like.
It's a lovely thing to see the sunrise, but you know you have to have some sleep first. Otherwise, you can't enjoy it. You know.
Well, I've just gone through a period of all-nighters with Ben, obviously. I mean, not in the same sense that I used to pull an all-nighter. There was a time when I'd spend it in a field with like-minded people.
I was going to say, Ben's a bit young for the disco, isn't
Yeah,
he?
his raving days will
Clubbing.
come. Yeah. But now, I mean, gosh, that really... Sleep is a premium in my life. It's probably the most valuable commodity going. And 2 nights this week, I've been out. The rest of the week, I've been in bed by 9:30. That's how you've got to do it. It does. I think it's debilitating. You can see why they use
Well-
sleep deprivation as a form of torture,
Oh,
can't you?
absolutely.
Because it sends you crazy.
Makes you ill.
It does make you ill.
When I was younger, I used to love it, you know, and I used to love when you heard the birds singing in the morning, you go, oh, I've been up all night, and then you couldn't wait for the next one. You know, it'd be 3 times a week or whatever when you were younger. Now, it isn't like that. I find it really, really difficult. Having said that, recently, on my last birthday, I had a party at home, and I was the only one not drinking, actually, but I was the last one to bed at 6 o'clock in the
Well
morning.
done,
But the thing about me is I go to bed, right, and then I think, I can't bear is sleeping all day then. So I still jump up at
Don't you
10
get
and
the
think,
fear?
oh, I've wasted my life. I have to
fear
get
I
out of
can't
bed.
sleep?
No, I can always sleep. I could sleep on a washing line, to be honest with you. I can sleep anywhere. But my other half, who will stay up all night if he's, you know, if we're out at a party or whatever, he likes to stay up all night. But then he will sleep all day. He'll get up when it's dark again.
That's
In
not
fact,
right. That's
you know, he
not
might
right.
still be
He's-
in bed now, for all I know.
But he's how old? He's 50, isn't he?
51.
51.
Oldest
too
swinger in
old to be
town.
doing that.
OK, time for a quick break now.